Labour rarely starts the way you see in films. There's no dramatic water breaking, no panicked sprint to the hospital. More often, it starts quietly. A small comment, a strange feeling, a moment where your partner casually says, "I think labour started," and suddenly you realise something important. You have absolutely no idea what happens next. In this episode, we're breaking down the real stages of labour, what they look like, how they unfold, and what your role is at every stage. Because when things get intense, your partner won't need a hero. She'll need you calm, focused, and fully present. You're not just expecting a baby. You're becoming a father, and there's a difference. Most men don't realise this until it's too late. They wait, they stay quiet, they assume they'll have it all figured out when baby arrives. And then one day, they're exhausted, disconnected, and wondering how they became a passenger in their own family. This series exists to stop that from happening. I'm Aidan, founder of the Modern Fatherhood Club and dad of two. I've lived the mistakes, I've carried the pressure, and I know exactly what it costs when fathers don't prepare. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about understanding your role early so you don't spend the next 5 years trying to repair it. Every episode in this series is designed to give you clarity, perspective, and one thing you can actually do right now to show up better for your partner and your child. No fluff, no lectures, just clear, practical advice based on real experience. Because fatherhood isn't a role, it's a responsibility, and it starts now. Now, labour is one of those moments where preparation really matters. Because once it begins, things can move slowly or incredibly quickly. And the reality is, most of your role isn't about doing something dramatic. It's about being calm, present, and supportive through each stage. Understanding what's happening helps you stay grounded. And when you're grounded, she feels supported. And that's critical. So I came home from a long drive. She was standing in the kitchen like nothing had changed. Then she casually said, "Well, I think labour's started." My response? "Okay, so what do we do now?" Her answer? "We wait." And that's exactly what early labour often is. Waiting. At that point, our eldest was overdue. We'd already been to the hospital earlier that week because she felt reduced movement. We'd been told to stay on high alert. So when labour started, we were already on edge. But nothing dramatic happened. She finished cooking dinner, we ate, and we sat down to watch some TV. She bounced on her birthing ball while we waited for something to change. Hours passed. And eventually she decided to try a warm bath. A few minutes later, she was out and she turned to me and said it was time to go. Our baby arrived 21 hours after labour started. So yes, labour can be a marathon. One of the biggest surprises about labour is how unpredictable it can be. Sometimes things move quickly, other times it feels like nothing is happening at all. Early labour can involve long periods of waiting, light contractions, trying to rest while anticipating what's next. And suddenly there's a shift in gears and labour intensifies. So expect fatigue, expect uncertainty, expect moments where you're not sure what to do next. And that's completely fine. It's completely normal. Your role isn't to control the process. Your role is to support her through it. Now, labour usually unfolds in stages. The first stage is early labour, which, in our case, lasted ages. Sometimes it can last a full day. Contractions begin, but may still be irregular. This stage often happens at home. During this time, focus on keeping her comfortable and calm. Eventually, labour becomes more established. This is when contractions become stronger, longer, more regular, and typically around 3 contractions every 10 minutes. At this point, you should start thinking about contacting the midwife or maternity unit. You should also call them if her waters break, contractions become extremely intense, or she feels like she needs pain relief. And one important thing to remember, waters breaking doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just a small leak. If that happens, it's time to get guidance from your midwife. So here are a few simple things that can really help during early labour. Rest if possible. Even short naps can help preserve her energy for later stages. Encourage gentle movement. Walking or bouncing on a birthing ball can help labour progress. Try warm water, a bath or shower can ease those early contractions and help with relaxation. Help her focus on breathing, because slow breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, well, that can help her manage her contractions. Try to keep her energy levels up. Small snacks and drinks are important for her and for you. Labour is physically demanding and energy matters. This is where you really step up. You've got to know her birth plan, understand her preferences, and be prepared if things change, because sometimes they do. Now, your partner might rely on you to communicate her wishes when she's too focused on labour to explain herself. Your calm matters. If you stay composed, it's going to help her to feel safe and heard. And if she needs someone to speak up for her, that has to be you. If you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. Be calm and present. You don't need to control the situation. You don't need to solve everything. But your presence, your steadiness, that's going to make a huge difference in how supported she feels going into it. And as I've said, labour usually unfolds in stages. Understanding them prevents unnecessary panic. Early labour, as I've said, can be slow and unpredictable, so your role is to keep her comfortable and supported. The calmer you are, the more clearly you can communicate with midwives during labour. And finally, respect her strength and determination that she shows during the birth of your child. Now, watching your partner give birth is one of the most humbling experiences you will ever have. Look, one father to another, I cannot underestimate the strength and determination, the resilience that my partner showed during early and the latter stages of labour. She smashed it. It was insane to watch. It was the most powerful thing I've ever seen. She didn't need me to hold her hand until the very end. She was in control. She'd practiced her breathing. She'd chosen to hypnobirth, and that was her birth plan. Her choices, and my role was to ensure that her choices remained and that she had the opportunity to birth our children as she wished. Now, had there been complications, maybe I'd have had to step in and offer my support in a different way, by standing up for her, by voicing my concerns, by trying to get the midwives to take action. And one of the things that I encourage dads to do is just to reflect back on the moment. Now, there is going to be chaos, there's going to be screaming, there's going to be shouting, there's going to be swearing. You're not going to be popular. You've got to take it on the chin, you put the ego to one side, and you stand there or sit with her and you support her best you can. But you make sure she feels heard, she feels respected, and that medically she is protected. Her birth plan is her choice. Her body, her choice. But there may be an instance where you do need to step in. And you're going to have to make a swift decision. And you may have to divert from the plan. But you're doing that in her best interests. You're doing that in baby's best interests. That can feel heavy, but you've got to have the confidence to make those decisions. You may panic. You may feel overwhelmed. But as long as you make the choice that protects baby, that protects mum, in those situations where you have to make that decision, that's where you step in. That's where you support her as best you can. But you should never underestimate the power of that decision making and the contribution and the value that you bring to that situation. But let's face it, if everything goes to plan, your role is to be there, to support her, to encourage her, to be that source of energy and strength when she's flagging under the pain and the pressure that labour brings. Your role at the end, capture the moments, celebrate her, celebrate the birth of your child, come together, protect the family unit, celebrate the strength of your partner, celebrate the beauty of the moment. Because once the baby arrives, well, everything changes again. The first moments after birth, the hospital experience, and those early hours of becoming a father, that's what we're going to explore in the next few episodes. So if this episode hit home, again, it's not by accident. Fatherhood has a way of surfacing the things we've been avoiding: pressure, fear, expectation, identity. The difference between dads who grow into the role and dads who burn out under it, it's support and awareness. And if you want ongoing support, you can join us at the Modern Fatherhood Club. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And if you're listening on podcast platforms, follow the show because it helps us reach more dads who need it. And if you know another dad who's going to benefit from this conversation, please share this episode with me. Remember, presence beats perfection. Awareness beats guesswork. And the work that you do now is going to echo for decades. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.